We're going to talk about the elephant in the room?
Go ahead.
You hadn't brought it up. The Cowboys hired. They hired a new football coach.
I know.
Isn't that sad that it's that far down on the bullet list?
I will say this. I'm going to be probably on the minority on this. I love the hire. Here's why. Step into the Fieldhouse, your front row seat to legendary victories and untold stories. Hey, I'm your host, Lance Lunner, breaking down sports from the inside out, along with co-host Jimmy Lackey. It's more than just a game. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast. Welcome in, everybody. It's the Fieldhouse Podcast. Thanks for joining us today. We love having you along. Remember, it is a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. We enjoy this so much. I'm Lance Lunner, one of the co-hosts. We have Jimmy Lackey here. Jimmy, got to ask you, what's the best thing that happened to you today?
I got two pictures about 20 minutes ago of that new granddaughter of mine on my phone. I'll take every one of them I can get. She's pretty special.
That is so cool. Yeah.
Yeah, she's pretty special.
Yeah, how's that going?
She's doing great. Little brother's still adjusting.
Yeah.
Not. I wouldn't go straight to being fond of her yet.
That takes time.
It does.
He loses all his attention,
he's
didn't he?
had 21 months of, all by myself, all the attention, and now he's got competition on the top of the fact that she's the first girl in the mix, because we have 4 grandsons, and now we got the first girl in the mix, and I have all daughters, so you can only imagine they're just oohing and gooing over this, and so,
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But it's fun.
That is cool.
All of them are special. As they come along, so it's just she just happens to be the newest one.
I love that. I love that. So, hey, this is our 36th podcast. Wow, we're getting down the road a little bit on it. We have a tradition here where we've started where what number we are on our podcast, we decide a jersey number or somebody who inspired us, or one of our favorite players. Can be a high school teammate, somebody watched in high school, college, pro, any sport too. Any numeral. It could be, if that's your NASCAR driver's number or whatever. But 36, if you look at it, really is one of the numbers where we don't have that person.
Yeah,
most numbers are associated with, I get it. You know what I mean? And some have several, like 32 we just ran into.
Yeah.
But 36, do you have a 36?
I actually had one that came to mind, and I had to go make sure I was right.
Okay.
Jerome Bettis.
Well, yes. Very good one.
That's the first one that came to mind, and quite frankly, the only one that came to mind. As I went and did a little research and looked into it, I recognized names.
Yeah,
but
Shaquille wore it for a number. But
did.
Shaquille really isn't associated with one number. He wore too many.
Yeah, and was he with Philadelphia when that?
No, I don't think Philly. I don't think he was ever Philly.
Okay, I didn't think so.
Yeah.
But anyways, it had him listed, but 36 didn't resonate with me with being Shaquille O'Neal.
Yeah.
And so, but yeah, Bettis is the one that came.
Bettis is a good one.
Came to mind, and quite frankly, because he was on TV the other day, and so I happened to. That clicked at the same time and saw that. And so
NBC Sports used to do that, like a highlight of high school, like high school of the week or whatever. One time it was Boys Ranch.
Oh. And
Jerome Bettis was out there to do the presentation or whatever. So I went
cool.
out there and did a story on when I was with the Globe News, and that man in person, you're like, how could this guy run? He was that
he
large.
Was a train.
Yeah,
he was a freight train. Yeah, no
he was
doubt
huge.
About it.
Yeah. My 36 is a guy named Billy Thompson.
Yep.
And he played for the Broncos. He's not a Hall of Famer or anything like that, but massively popular with the Bronco Nation at that time, and he played on some teams that weren't very good, but Billy Thompson, as I recall, I think he wore the quarterback, remember the two?
Oh, yeah.
As a defensive
two-strand face mask.
Yeah. So, as a defensive player, so it was kind of cool to watch him do that. But, 36.
You and I are old enough to remember when those were the only kind of face masks.
Lemon wore 36. I didn't associate Meadowlark Lemon with a number, though.
No. Wouldn't have thought about him. I wouldn't have thought about him.
Yes.
Yeah, when you think Globetrotters, I don't think about a number.
Not even close.
Names surpass the numbers with them. Yeah, absolutely.
Meadowlark Lemon, wow. Did you ever meet him?
No, I never met him, but I saw him when he did his thing.
After he left the Globetrotters, he kind of did Meadowlark Lemon All-Stars or something. And one time, and it was a ministry for him as well. But he was up in Pampa, believe it or not, one day. So I went up there and spent it was like at a youth thing, and nice guy.
We had a show. There was a show for there a little while too.
Nice guy though, man. But he entertained so many people in his own way. So
he was a funny guy.
Hey, we got a lot to talk about today. We'll get to it, but I've got to tell you, Jimmy, last night I'm at Amarillo High. They had to close the doors.
That's a check mark on my list there. I was going to ask you.
Yeah,
I didn't go.
They closed the doors.
Yeah.
Okay? And I knew it was going to be different when we were in our board meeting yesterday, and Don Carthel, who has seen more games or attended games, whatever. He's had kids, grandkids, coached forever. The last place he probably wants to be is putting his fanny on a bench, watching a game. He's seen so many.
Yeah.
And he came up to me after. He goes, "Hey, what time do you think I should get there? 4:45,
that's
5."
Donnie.
That's an hour before the game.
He is a sports fanatic.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah. So that's what that crowd was like, and it was phenomenal. Aaliyah Chavez is the number 1 ranked girls basketball player in the country. Plays for Lubbock, Monterey. Has not decided where she's going, but the rumor now is it's the University of Texas.
Really?
That's the rumor coming out of Lubbock. And usually they get a little bit of a hint. I did talk to her dad briefly. I'm going to try to get him on my radio show. He's the one who trained her, and see how he was able to get Aaliyah to play like she does. But she was named McDonald's All-American a couple of days ago. So what a thrill to see her. But Amarillo High wins the game 73-66. Jeff Williams did a masterful job. Those girls. But let me ask you this. This is the question I had for the day. I walked in there. As an athlete, I never played in a situation like that or a crowd like that. It was raucous, okay?
Oh, I'm sure.
And everybody was into it. You know what I mean? And it was packed to the gills. So that's probably 2,400 people when you're jammed on bench seating in there. To see it, number 1 ranked Monterey, number 4 or 5 ranked Amarillo High, really good teams. They will be in different divisions.
I was fixing to say they won't play in the playoffs.
No.
Yeah.
They've had some epic games, 5 overtime game 2 years ago in Littlefield that packed a place.
Yep.
I talked to her briefly after the game and said, she goes, "Oh, that was a great memory." But she's all about winning and losing. Like they got us a couple times, we got them. It was a back and forth, I think at this stage in her life, or right after a loss, her focus wasn't on the history of that rivalry.
Yeah.
But what do you think of girls basketball? You grew up in this area, and what they pack a gym like that.
Yep.
What a great honor! What a great tribute to the sport.
Well, I have a little bit of personal knowledge on that because I'm going to roll the clock back to 1978, 79-ish when I was in high school. Our girls in our class, our group graduating class in Dumas, P.D. Fletcher was our coach. Had only been playing full court for a couple of years.
Right.
Went from the 6-man to the full court game. Our junior year, our girls went to state, beat Canyon in district. That's back when only one team won, which was a huge accomplishment to beat Canyon. Beat them, went to the state tournament, lost in the state semis our junior year, and our girls went back and won it their senior year. Our girls that I graduated with, I claim them because they were some of my very best friends, and they were great, great, great girls and really, really good basketball players. But I watched them pack gyms back in the day, and
very cool.
Girls athletics, it didn't matter. Basketball, volleyball.
Yeah.
Football has always been said football's king, but when you start talking about the girls' sports and the ones that are really, really powerful and have those winning traditions, they rival any football team around in terms of per capita of the people that can get in a gym and pack it and watch them play. So I remember the days when we had Casey Jackson, Jolie Ayers, Brooke Baum, and Natalie Ritchie and all them playing at Tech. We used to go down for a lot of those games. My wife was a coach at the time, and we'd go down there and take our daughters down to watch those girls because they were hometown girls. And that place was packed.
It was packed.
So men didn't draw like that. But the women did. And so
I will say this: the Dumas-Hereford volleyball rivalry.
Yep.
Throughout my days at the Globe News was epic. To get into those gyms and see it. But I will say this: speaking of that, so a very, very state-ranked Amarillo High boys team in Monterey played afterward, and maybe half the crowd stayed.
Really?
Yeah. I mean,
how many points did she have last night?
She had 30 points last night. Very quiet 30.
That's a shutdown for her.
Yeah, no, I know.
Jeff did a good job.
Yeah. Jeff does a great job. We'll get him on the podcast sometimes. He's a very interesting guy. You know what I mean?
I love Jeff Williams. He's good. He's a good man.
Yeah, he's a Dumas. Started out in Dumas. Yeah. Was at Walmart and said, "Hey, I think I want to coach."
Yep.
And started coaching in Dumas. But yeah, I just want to give a shout out to just the young ladies who were on the court. Man, they put on a show. It was fun to watch. To be in that atmosphere, it's one everybody's going to remember. So how many little girls were in there saying, "Man, I hope that's us someday." I want to do that. And that's the one thing I'll give Aaliyah Chavez credit for. She helps train young athletes, some young basketball players in Lubbock, but she gets it as far as there's little girls, and there were probably 10 number 2 jerseys in the house. Yeah. Little girls wearing her.
There'll be more as time goes on.
Yeah.
Well, kudos to you for getting out and going to that, because I just can't stand big crowds like that.
I'm lucky, where what I've done in my life, so I can they'll just let me come in and maybe.
Yeah, I don't have one of those cards that gets me one of those seats.
Yeah, well, it's not a seat.
And I'm too big to hang out with you.
Stand at the end, of the basket, which is okay.
But you can.
Yeah.
If I walk down there and they say, "Hey, Fatso, you need to get to the back."
I don't think so. But no, it was a great honor to be.
Remember, folks, this guy's got a Heisman vote. I don't.
Okay, hey, let's move on. Obviously, Super Bowl week, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
You and I are old enough to remember way back, and I'll admit it. I remember number one because a little kid, 9-year-old in Colorado Springs, Colorado. I was a huge Packers fan. Okay, huge.
Yep.
And Bart Starr was the quarterback. Came to the air. My first autograph ever, Jimmy, and we'll lead into this, but was Bart Starr. Bart Starr. He came to the Air Force Academy to talk. And I got his autograph. It was a big deal. He was on the Falcon News, the newspaper they had on the academy. So they had a little picture of him. Somebody grabbed it for me, and he signed it and had it on my wall for I can't tell you how long. Who was your first autograph? And then I'm not a big autograph guy now at all. That's not my thing. I
don't know if we've talked about this or not before.
Yeah.
So truthfully speaking, and there's just a little bit of difference in age between me and Lance. There's not very much, but it's enough from a Super Bowl standpoint times 2. The first Super Bowl that I can remember watching was Jets winning Super Bowl III.
So it'd be 69.
Yep, I remember that one vividly.
Yeah.
But I was, like you, a Packers fan at that time because Donnie Anderson grew up 30 miles from Dumas.
Yeah.
And so I wrote to them. My mom said maybe you ought to write to them, and she got me this address, and I sent it to the Green Bay Packers. And I wrote to Bart Starr and Donnie Anderson, and I got these pictures back in the mail in these brown manila envelopes, and it had their pictures on it, and they autographed it. I'm sure some agent did it for them, but I had those. And I don't know if I've told you this or not, but our senior year in high school, Donnie Anderson was the speaker at our all-sports banquet.
Oh, wow, cool.
I took that picture back up there and had him sign it again, so I knew it got really signed. And I've had a chance to meet him on occasion a couple of other times through Joe Ferran, and what a nice guy. But, he grew up, our athletic director in high school was his high school coach at Stinnett back in the day. And so, got to meet him. But Bart Starr and Donnie Anderson were the first 2 picture autographs that I ever had.
Yeah.
Didn't get them in person, but I wrote to them and got them back in the mail.
Yeah. Were you ever a big autograph guy?
No, never have been.
Yeah. I think it's for kids. Yeah. Let them enjoy it. It's become such a collector's thing. I shake my head sometimes when you see these lines and you've got let the kids have their.
Now, I will tell you, I do this.
Yeah.
I have a helmet in my office from
that's cool. Yeah.
From the 1986 Buffs. My friend Gerald Welch and all that bunch played. I'm quite a bit older than all of them, Todd Mayfield and that bunch. But anytime one of them comes by and stops in to see me, I have them sign that helmet. So I've got several signatures on that helmet.
Cool.
But those are friends of mine. They're personal friends. They're not, glamorous, famous folks. Yeah. But they are to me. They're big time to me because that was a great football team that year.
Well, that was
covered them.
I covered that. Was one of my most enjoyable experiences of my entire life.
In my opinion, the best national championship team that never was.
Never was. Yeah. I've got to tell you one autograph story, and you've probably heard it before, but So Barry Putt Powell, the late great Putt Powell, I got to work with him 10 years at the Globe News, okay? And I came from Colorado, so I didn't really know who Putter was, but I've obviously found out very quickly who he is. Like one day I wore a shirt that had, it was rolled up and it had like a little hook on it where you hook the shirt. So I'm thinking I'm styling today. Putt walks by me and he goes, "Somebody make you wear that today?" Just like that, and walked on.
I've been to his cubicle back there before.
Yeah, the cubicle, yeah. But, the cubicle's famous. I mean, I used to stay after work because at midnight, who knew was going to come up there? Man, Terry Funk, oh, man, 3 or 4 times a week sometimes, would be up there at midnight, you know what I mean? One time I'm sitting typing and, hey, is Putt around? And I look up, and you're like the cowboy hat. Can you imagine who it was? NFL coach. Yeah, Bum Phillips. Yeah, standing right in front of me. And I'm like, what is going on, man? But anyway, real quick, my autograph story of all time. Barry Switzer's in town. Putt's a great friend of his. They're going to meet at the Old Red Barn to eat.
Oh, yeah.
Okay. So, and it happened all the time, okay? Barry was, I think it was, I don't know what time of the year it was, but anyway, he's coming in. He's got a yellow Vet. Hey, back in the day, OU, come on, he was probably driving that to some player's house. Let's get real, you know what I mean? He says, I picked this up in Arizona driving through, you know what I mean? Putt's ill. Putt is ill, you know what I mean? So he calls me, said, hey, you want to have dinner with Barry Switzer? And I'm like, what? Yeah, let's do it. So Barry being Barry, the nice guy he is, like he wants no part of being there with me. And Jerry Reed, who used to be the sports editor of the Globe News, was with me as well. So it was there. The the waitress for us comes over, Jimmy, and Barry Switzer at that time was training Dr. Death Steve Williams. He was a wrestler.
Yeah, he played there.
And he played at OU.
Yeah.
And his shtick was he did break his wrist or something in a match.
Okay.
So the shtick was Barry, old coach, was back training him, getting ready for his big match. This waitress comes up and says, are you the guy training Dr. Death Steve Williams? Had no clue it was Barry Switzer. And Barry didn't miss a beat. Yes, ma'am. Oh, she goes, I would love an autograph from him. Give me your address. I'll make sure we get it to you and all that.
Oh, my
Had no clue who
Had
Barry
no clue
Switzer
who he was.
So Barry Switzer's signing all these autographs, okay? People coming over, and, and he just Barry Switzer. So, it's late at night. We've had a couple of adult beverages. So it's midnight, and they're getting ready to go and all that. His soon-to-be wife was with him. But anyway, I say, hey, I want an autograph, but I don't want no mamby-pamby best wishes Barry that you've been writing all night. I don't know why I said that. Probably a couple of beers talking. Let's get real. So it's a little piece of paper, just a white piece of paper this big. And he signs it and hands it to me. I put it in my coat pocket. He goes, you're not going to look at that? I said, okay. Lance, F.U., Barry Switzer. So I have this autograph that's that big. Yeah,
that's funny.
That is a true story.
That's classic Switzer.
That's classic Switzer.
That is.
But the thing that impressed me, I'm just going to tell you, I became a fan of his. That lady had no clue that here's one of the great college football coaches of all time.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah, she knew him from a different world.
Yeah.
And that wrestling world is rabid.
Yeah, and he was all respectful for that. Like, are you kidding me? You don't know who I am? Nothing like that.
Yeah.
But anyway,
that's cool.
We kind of got away from that. But Super Bowl first memory. Go ahead.
Jets, yeah. The Jets game.
Just watching on TV up in Dumas?
I'll never forget him walking off the field. They weren't supposed to win when it was in Miami.
We're talking a black and white TV.
Probably. But, they were not anywhere supposed to be in the game, and they pulled that off. I remember all of that. I vaguely remember the Packers playing in maybe 2. But
1 and 2, both against Kansas City. Yeah.
But I just don't.
Yeah.
I don't have a vivid memory of it, but I do the Super Bowl III. Like I said, in Miami.
The one that impacted you the most, though, was it the Cowboys' first Super Bowl champion?
Probably. Yeah, probably so. I mean, I remember. Well, Minnesota's been 4 times.
3 or 4,
Three or 4 never won it.
Buffalo's been 4.
Went 4 in a row.
Yeah.
And Those type things. I remember I was a 49ers fan. I was a big Joe Montana fan.
Yeah. John Ayers.
Yeah, of course, John played there. Football's just been part of me. Full transparency, if people don't know, I got my right eye put out with a BB gun when I was 10 years old, and that ended any hopes I had of playing a lot of sports, particularly baseball. Loved to play football. Lance, once upon a time, I was skinny and could run and throw a football. I could throw a football, and I loved playing quarterback, but I couldn't see him coming from the blind side. I told my dad, I said, Dad, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
But I loved it. But what I really missed, too, was baseball. I pitched and played first base. And I don't have any depth perception, so I can't see that thing coming at me fast. If you toss a set of keys at me, I'm probably just going to move out of the way because I can't judge them.
Gotcha.
And so, I missed all of that stuff. But, boy, you're talking about a rabid fan. My dad was a coach, and I was around it all my life. And so the game of football has just probably been something that I can't let go of. And I'm probably more favorable by far to college football than I am the pros. But I'll take it all. And, you and I talked about it. I don't like them playing on Friday night.
Yeah, no.
But for me, most other nights count me in. I don't care who's playing. If there's a football game on, I'm probably going to be watching it.
I got to ask you, the Chiefs going for an epic three-peat, which has never been done before. A lot of hatred suddenly for this team.
Isn't that weird?
It's come about the past year. But Mahomes, we're Mahomes'd out. We're Kelsey'd out. Kelsey and Taylor, we're sick of that stuff. And of all teams, it's Philadelphia that's everybody rooting for, which I never thought.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, but what do you think? Is it the Patriots syndrome where we're dealing with the Chiefs right here?
A little bit. But
Mahomes is a likable guy.
That's what I was just fixing to say. You don't have that character that's the villain.
Yeah.
In the mix. Travis Kelce is Travis Kelce. He's animated. He says what's on his mind. He and his brother, in my opinion, are funny.
Yeah, they are.
They play off their and here's what they're doing. They're striking while the iron's hot.
Yeah.
Because that's fleeting.
Yeah.
Your playing days are fleeting.
I'm Kelsey'd out though,
and a lot of people are. And when you add the Taylor Swift thing to it, and every other play is showing her up in the box, there's just a lot of people that. They were already Taylor Swift out before she ever got involved with Travis Kelce. You add that to the mix, and, it just accentuates itself. And so, I get that. But I'm picking the Eagles. I think Saquon Barkley's the difference maker in this game.
Yeah.
I really do. I just told Craig this. We were going to Hereford yesterday. I told him, I said, I couldn't tell you, and I honestly mean this, I could not tell you one single person's name on the offense of the New York Giants today. I couldn't tell you who their quarterback is because I haven't kept up with them. How foolish of a move was that for them to trade him away? And in this day and time when that sacred player is your franchise player, he's a franchise player.
Yeah.
And they've got a couple of them with the Eagles. I mean, Hurts is one of them, but dadgum, that guy is special, and he is humble.
Yeah, I like him too.
I like his stick. I like everything about him.
Yeah.
But I think he's the difference maker this go around.
I like what you're saying there. Who knows why the Giants are a mess? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the devaluation, however, that's probably not even a word, but of the running
is today
of the running back is one of the reasons they probably traded him. They just couldn't imagine a running back impacting the game he does.
Well, and kudos to the coaching staff for figuring it out.
Totally agree.
In this day and time, the running game is not, it's not your glitz and glamour part of your game, but it goes back to fundamentals. You've heard me say blocking and tackling. If you can't do that, you're not going to have a good football team. In my day, if you didn't have a run game, you weren't going to win.
Yeah.
And that has flipped the curve for them. Because they can do it all.
Yeah, they can.
They can do that RPO. They can do it all.
I'm a big fan of Hurts as well. I'm going to say this, though. The Chiefs just win, Jimmy.
Yeah. You called it. I listened to Carlton. I'm so glad you let me have Carlton come on.
Yeah, Carlton was fun.
Thank you for doing that. And
it was awesome.
He had a blast. And
Carlton's
but I
great.
really appreciated.
I enjoyed meeting him.
Yeah, he's sharp and he knows his stuff. But I got to thinking about what we were talking about the other day with how that goes and how that running game parlays into a different piece of the game. And I really think that's what's flipped the switch for them. I think that's what's changed the momentum.
Yeah.
And that coaching staff has figured that out. But they still have other weapons. And Hurts can make things happen.
You got to realize the Chiefs, Jimmy, use it as a dump pass as their running game sometimes. Like when they got the 2 first downs to beat Buffalo to close out the game, I should say, those were, he could throw that pass in his sleep. You can catch that pass in your sleep. That's that simple of a play. Yep. But it's just getting 6 or 7 yards, 4 or 5 yards. But that's how Andy Reid has learned his version of the running game, when you don't have a Saquon back there. And Mahomes is the best to do it because he will every once in a while run it himself.
Yeah.
So you have to respect that.
He's going to win it. You called it last week. I picked the Bills on that one.
Yeah.
And you said Mahomes is the difference, and he was.
Yeah.
Think about this. Andy Reid is the only NFL coach with 100-plus wins at 2 different franchises.
Wow.
And they're both playing each other in the Super Bowl.
If he wins this, where do you rank him then? Is he next to Belichick? Is he closing in on him?
I think he's up there in a lot of ways. I'll tell you one way where he wins over me is just his personality.
Oh, yeah, me too. Me too.
He's such a good guy.
And here's my as I got older, I don't judge somebody on one game now anymore.
Yep.
So Andy Reid is already there for me.
Yep.
Win or lose this game, he has his team in this position to do something that no other NFL team in the history has done. So I'm a fan of his, and I'm just going to say, win or lose, he is, top 3, top 4, top 5 now. I don't think I think unless you win 7 or 8. Yep. You can't take Belichick off that list.
You watched the Commanders and the Eagles game the other day, and that got away quick. But I'm telling you right now, if you went back and dissected it and you were really, really expert at going in and breaking apart a game like that, it probably broke down to about 3 plays that created that big spread in that ball game. And I figured the same thing's going to happen in a Super Bowl.
That's a good point. I didn't think of it like that.
It's going to come down to 2 or 3 plays, and it always seems like it's something at the end that you always remember that player, the kid from Washington dropping the ball or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
But it's something
Buffalo.
that happened before that. It's like I told you about the Bengals and being upset that the Broncos, beat the Chiefs in that last game. Well, they should have won some of those games early on that they lost 4 in a row. And so it's not what happens at the end of the game. There's a whole composition that takes place during the game. And things happen, but it'll come down to about 3 key plays that could either make or break who wins or what the spread in the game is.
And I'm a Broncos fan, so obviously I'm not a Kansas City fan.
Sure.
That AFC West is old school, and if you're a Bronco fan, you're not allowed to root for the Chiefs, the Raiders, or the Chargers, okay?
Yeah.
But I will say this. I think Mahomes just somehow they find a way to win, whether it's somebody chokes on the other side or something bad happens on the other side. They have a knack to not lose the game late, which you talk to all the NFL coaches, and more teams lose games than really win games.
Sure.
That's what the trick is. That's what made Tom Brady so great. When he suited up, he was not going to lose the game for you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Here's you a stat while you bring Brady up, and I didn't know this, but somebody told me about this. I went and looked it up. It's true. The last 14 AFC championship games, Brady and or Mahomes have been in them.
Wow.
14 in a row.
That's amazing. That's a great stat.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, I love that.
That's crazy. Look it up. It's true.
Anyway, Super Bowl should it be a national holiday? That was my last question for you today. By that I mean you take off Monday and you celebrate it as.
If you ask the average workforce, they're going to say, "Heck yeah, let's do that."
Yeah.
If you ask the
bosses,
if you ask the guys that are paying shareholders, they're probably going to say, "I don't think so." So
yeah, all good, man.
There you
all
go.
Good. Hey, update on Jalen Conyers for everybody out there.
Yeah.
He did a great job on our podcast. You caught his personality. He will be in the East-West Shrine game. That's actually, as we're taping, it's tomorrow night in Arlington. At Jerry's World. His stock has risen in these type of all-star games, just so you guys know, like his tight end coach is the Cleveland Browns tight end coach. His defensive coordinator or offensive coordinator, I think, is with Jacksonville. So these are NFL guys down here getting together to coach these teams. But what you can do, you can improve your stock in the draft. Out of this, he's been invited to the Combine. Remember how anxious he was when he was here.
Going to Indy.
He's going to Indy, so that's a big deal as well. So he is really up to stock, and I couldn't be more happy for him.
Yeah, he's a good kid. Yeah, I've been following him a little bit, and he made that comment, so maybe someday I'll come back and work at Kids Inc. And I took that note. And, man, a guy like him, holy cow.
Yeah.
When you talk about, I'm not going to be here forever, that's the kind of guy you want coming in here and taking over a ship.
Oh, yeah. He could, his personality, as you guys saw, he'll be on television eventually.
Yep.
Once they find out. But he's got a chance to have an NFL career now, and that was his dream always, you know what I mean? That's what his goal was. And Texas Tech, believe it or not, we think of them as this passing offense or whatever, not this smash-mouth type team, but Jalen Conyers will tell you when he left Arizona State, he had some cash, and he had some cachet, I should say. He had some big games for him, but his blocking was not NFL level.
Yeah.
And Texas Tech, it became NFL level. Yeah. So they're now looking at him. He's very thankful for that. And that's the last thing he would ever have thought. You know what I mean? That he learned how to block, at that level. But congratulations to him.
I saw this tidbit last night. Some Super Bowl ads, $8 million.
Per minute?
Per 30 seconds.
Oh, my gosh. All right, let's say you're the big dog. You have one of those companies.
Yeah.
Would you – they're fun commercials. Some of them, they really – one thing I like, risk. They take risks, and some of them are terrible. They flop, and some of them are just home runs. The Budweiser with the Clydesdales and the dogs, that's the heartstrings and all that. But would you, as a company man, would you spend, if you had it, would you spend $8 million for 30 seconds?
Lance, I can't even think about that, and I'm going to give you an example. And I haven't called her back. I'm sorry. I'm telling you, we've had 3 board meetings this week, and so it's just been nuts. But, I've got a card on my desk from an account executive from one of the news stations here in town wanting to talk to me about advertising. You serve on our board. I don't have a budget to spend for TV advertising.
Yeah.
I can't even buy, a couple $1,000s worth of TV advertising, and we're talking about $8 million for 30 seconds? No.
Yeah.
No.
I agree.
Because I've been in the nonprofit business for so long. And we just had a little meeting about another thing about staff and family and things. I think about family. I think about my staff. I think about our kids, what kind of equipment that could purchase. I don't live in that world, so I can't even begin to comprehend what that's like.
And I don't even live in your world, so I can't even imagine spending that much. But obviously they do it for a reason. It has been successful for some companies to get their name out there. A Pepsi, a Budweiser. Do the math, people. That's how much they make.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? If they can afford that, it's insane how much money they make.
It's a drop in the bucket for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it just is. So.
But I love the commercials. I will say this. And so, sometimes you go use the restroom or go to the fridge or whatever, and you miss those commercials. But I always go back and –
We're going to talk about the elephant in the room?
Go ahead.
You hadn't brought it up. The Cowboys They hired a new football coach.
I know.
Isn't that sad that it's that far down on the bullet list?
I will say this. I'm going to be probably on the minority on this. I love the hire. Here's why. I started at the Globe News as an agate clerk, and nobody knows what agate is, but if you ever read newspapers back in the day, that big scoreboard page. Mm-hmm. Agate's the little type size. It's called agate. So I started as the agate clerk. In other words, if a 10K came in, I had to type in all the winners. If a track meet came in, I was sitting there typing in all that. I wasn't out covering stories. Garrett Von Netzer did give me a chance to cover high school volleyball that first fall, so I'm very thankful for that. So I was able to do that. But anyway, so I paid my dues, not just in my little world.
Yep.
Brian Schottenheimer has paid his dues. Until you're the boss, you don't have a chance to show what type of boss you will be, okay? Will he be any good? I don't know. I really don't know. What I saw in the press conference, I liked. What I saw in the press conference is the Joneses, their answers are 40-minute long, it seemed like. Answer a question and move on. First 40 minutes of that press conference, and I watched all 116 minutes of it, was those guys going on and on and on. But here's my deal, Jimmy. He's getting his opportunity. He's paid his dues. He's ready. Let's see what he can do. Yeah. So I applaud it.
Well, if you want me to be 100% honest, when Moore left, I honest to goodness didn't even know who the offensive coordinator was, simply because McCarthy was calling the plays.
Very true.
And so I had no clue. And so when they hired him, I thought, Where did he come from? I'm being honest, and that's how much dismay I have with the Cowboys right now. So I don't pay as close attention. I didn't know he was offensive coordinator. I had no clue. So shame on me. But McCarthy's been calling the plays.
I agree with that.
I hadn't paid any attention, and I had to figure out, okay, where was he last year? No clue he was with the Cowboys. And so shame on me for not knowing that.
Wow.
That's my stupidity. But, when I heard it, Marty Schottenheimer's first thing goes through my head.
Right.
And I was a fan of his dad. I was a fan. So we'll see.
He had a little moxie in the press conference, a little mojo, a little juice to him. I'm sure I haven't heard players come out and say, "Oh, thank goodness we got this." You know what I mean?
Yeah. Here's what.
But he does have a relationship with Dak. If you watch, like McCarthy's busy with a lot. He didn't really want to call the plays. Let's get real.
Sure.
But he tried to save his job by calling the plays.
Yep.
And so Schottenheimer was the one actually talking to those guys, like on the bench or whatever, like, hey, we got to do this, or coach wants this, or whatever. You know what I mean?
Here's what he's up against, in my opinion. This is just where the Cowboys are in this day and time for the last 30 years. Wash, rinse, dry, repeat. And he's got to beat that cycle.
Amen.
He's got to beat that cycle. He's got to do something, and you know what that is. He's got to get to an NFC Championship game or a Super Bowl to break that cycle.
Yeah.
But right now, it's just been wash, rinse, dry, repeat.
And you have Philadelphia and Washington actually playing.
Yep.
They're in your division.
Oh, yeah.
So
and your former defensive coordinator goes there in 1 year and takes them to the championship.
Yeah.
You've got all of that against you.
I agree.
And your former offensive coordinator is sitting over there with the Eagles.
Yeah.
And so, how does that look?
It doesn't look good. I agree. But we did learn this, Jimmy, that Deion Sanders, they did talk to him, but he wouldn't. It was never a serious chance to be the head coach of the Cowboys.
Yeah.
And then they had the Jason Witten thing going on, which I didn't know, that supposedly Jerry said whoever the head coach is, Jason Witten will be a part of your staff. But I found out that's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
Okay, he answered those afterward. When he gets in the scrum, he's way better than when he's on TV and doing his thing, his spiel. You know what I mean? But I like the hire. We'll see what happens. So you heard it here first. I think he's going to win with him. He's a guy who's paid his dues. Dan Campbell, when he got the job at the Lions, everybody laughed at him. We're going to bite knees or whatever he said. We're going to do whatever it takes to win. Nobody trusted that hire at all.
Again, a couple quick plays early on changed that game quickly, and everybody thought they were heading that way, and they got beat.
Well, I tell you what, one thing I'm concerned about the NFL, Jimmy, is the Lions, the Week 8, 9, 10 Lions. Mm-hmm. They're the best team in the NFL this year.
Yep.
They could have beat the Chiefs, but you get injury after injury. 17 weeks of football. Training all year, the injuries take their toll.
It comes down to injuries.
Yeah.
No, it does.
Yeah.
It just flat out comes down to injuries.
Yeah. What'd you have on your list today?
I got one more thing.
Yeah.
And probably most people but me are interested in this, but I want you to get interested.
Yeah, okay.
And I may have mentioned this to you.
What is it?
So, if you remember, about 3 years ago, the Lady Buffs basketball team played in the Elite Eight.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
We played Glenville State.
Okay.
And I don't know if you remember the game or not, but that coach put 5 in every 2 minutes, 5 more, and they just ran and beat us like 95 to
complete
50,
subs. I do remember that.
95 to 50 or 60 something.
I do remember that, the complete subs.
And so I began to watch her. I watched her post-game conferences and started watching a little bit about her. I thought, there's something about this kid. She was young. She was 33 or 32 at the time. She was a Glenville State graduate. Her dad was her assistant coach. He'd been her high school coach. Had cancer and passed away that year.
Oh, wow.
And so I really kind of just, the story about her, I started following her. And she stayed at Glenville State for one more year. And then the University of Marshall hired her. They hadn't been to the NCAA tournament since '97. She goes 18-1 in conference.
Wow.
Gets them to the tournament. Guess who hired her? Do you know where this kid is now?
Where?
She is the head women's basketball coach for the University of Tennessee.
Wow.
The Lady Vols. Her name is Kim Caldwell.
Okay.
So put that name in your head. And so I've kept up with their schedule. I know where they play. Oklahoma, LSU, one other game. She lost those 3 games by a total of 4 points. Oklahoma was ranked 5, LSU was ranked 6, and somebody else they played that was a ranked team, they lost by 4 points total. She has her first child a week ago.
Yeah, I saw this.
She missed the Texas game. Dawn Staley, women have the strength of 10 men, no doubt about it. She was on the bench for the South Carolina game less than a week after having this kiddo. I'm telling you right now, Kim Caldwell, go watch her.
Yeah.
She's the first non-Pat Summitt disciple on that bench for the Lady Vols. I'm a big fan, and I first saw her playing Our Lady Buffs.
Wow. I'm glad
3 years later, Glenville State, Marshall, 1 year, and now you are at the pinnacle of one of the premier basketball programs in America.
Yeah.
And look what she's already doing, and they haven't done anything the last 2 or 3 years. Fired one of Pat's disciples and, took some heat for it. She's winning them over left and right. She is a beast of a battler. She's 35, 36 years old.
Yeah. I know who you mean now.
I'm telling you right now, watch her.
Yeah.
They're going to be special.
Yeah, I love that. Hey, we have high school, softball, volleyball, and baseball starting right now in the spring. Good luck to all those guys. But just want to give a shout out to Highland Park. High school, they took a risk, built a brand new softball facility, brand new baseball facility, trying to get a quality of life type situation out there with some of their athletes. So I want to tip my cap. I drove by it. I've been by it. They did a really nice job for a high school facility, a class situation for those kids to try to participate in a sport that they've never had.
It's a very interesting and unique setup that they did out there because they tied in a whole housing development to that bond package. And there's pros and cons out there if you're tax-paying in because your taxes went way up.
Yeah.
So it'll be interesting to see how that pays off for that school. My wife started her career at Highland Park, her first 3 years teaching and coaching, so know a little bit about that place.
Yeah, I like Highland Park. One reason, they have goalposts. Everybody's goalposts around here are all bent because of the wind and over, and you're seeing it, Justin. They are the smartest peoples on the planet Earth. They got the goalposts that bend down to the ground, and so they do not have an issue of crooked goalposts.
That's funny.
Yeah, I like it.
Funny. Yeah.
They did a great job. So, anything else, man?
No, great job. This was a good one.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, and we enjoy having guests come in, and we'll see that. We have a couple of people who have requested to be on, and we'll see what we can do. See if we can get.
Tell everybody out there, I can't tell y'all how much I appreciate us just having this podcast. It's a big deal, and what Maddie does behind the scenes, we've got to get her on set and have a little conversation.
Oh yeah, I'm all for that. Yeah,
but for you to come in and
we
do this,
may never get our jobs back after that happens.
I'll take that chance. If it makes our ratings go up, I'll take that chance.
Okay, all right.
But for you to come in and do this each week with me and bring our folks in, it's meaningful for us. It's something that's positive for Kids Inc. I'm grateful to you for doing that, and I'm grateful for Maddie producing this thing each week. So I just have to say that every so often.
Grateful for your friendship. Just want you to know that
we're
publicly
buddies.
right now.
Yeah, we've been big buddies for a long time.
Yeah. So, hey, this is number 36. Billy Thompson.
Jerome Bettis.
Those are our guys. So this was the Fieldhouse Podcast. Just a reminder, it's a production of the Kids Inc. Sports Network. Can't thank you enough for joining us today, and we'll see you when we see you.